am really emotional, but I'm just thankful to have this opportunity. I've been wanting to do it for months and months, but I don't know. I kind of just thought in my head over and over again, what's the right time? How am I going to do it? Where do I do it? What do I say? Um, so I'm just thankful for the opportunity. So I just want to start by saying that I'm thankful again for the opportunity. I'm thankful for God pulling me out of my comfort zone because I know that's what I needed. Um, it's hard, but I know God is in control and I know this is what He wants me to do. So, as a child, I was exposed to, I have notes here, so I'm going to be reading back and forth out of those. As a child, I was exposed to drugs, alcohol, other things that other children other things that children aren't really exposed to and they know nothing about. We didn't have a lot at times. We were a very poor family, but we always had a roof over our head and we always had food on the table, and I'm thankful for that. Um, Also, I my dad got into a very car accident. I think, in kindergarten. He got into a very bad car accident and broke his neck, and that was hard for me because my dad was always my rock. He was always my person that I went to. Um, he broke his neck and he had to wear a halo for a long time. And I remember first seeing him and seeing two screws in the front and two screws in the back of his head. And I remember just thinking, because my dad's always been the person that had a long beard, he always had a mustache, and he always has really long hair. So when I seen him for the first time, he had no beard, no mustache, and absolutely no hair. So it was terrifying. As a 5-year-old, I honestly said, that's not my dad. I don't know him. And I think that was a turning point for him. He was an alcoholic. He never touched another beer since that day. He no longer is an alcoholic. He no longer drinks. And then around age 7, I got into hanging around with the wrong people. I got into drugs, smoking, doing things with other kids that I shouldn't have been doing. I went to church as a child. I went to a local Baptist church. We went Sundays and Wednesdays. I went for the wrong reasons. I went to hang out with my friends and didn't really learn much about God, but I knew that I believed in God and I believed in something. I just wasn't too sure about what, or too sure about, things that followed, Jesus. So, around that time frame, my full-blooded brother, which I'm so thankful he got to be here with me today, and his wife. Around that time, he actually got into a bunch of trouble in middle school, and he went to a program. I'm thinking around 2 or 3 years. That was also hard for me. He was my only brother that stayed home with me, and we were very close, and still today we're really close. And I'm just thankful that he was able to be home with me after that. And at the time, my dad was working out of town, and my mom, she was a full-time parent. She had to work as well. My dad, some weekends he would come home, some weekends he couldn't come home. He had to work as well. So around that time, I actually was raped and sexually assaulted up until about age 13. And I didn't know what was wrong, what was right. I wasn't taught what was right from wrong. I knew in my mind that it wasn't right, but I never knew that it wasn't normal. I thought it was just normal because this wasn't the first time. So when I met my half-sister, which I'm thankful she's here with me today, at 11 years old, I moved in with her to try to run away from all the things that I was struggling with. And I was just getting in a lot of trouble. I was trying to fill a void that no one could fill but Jesus. But I was trying to fill the void with worldly things, just getting attention from people, getting in trouble, getting in fights. Then in my late teens, I actually started dating my husband. We dated for about a year and a half at this time. I've never been in a serious relationship. I just went through a lot of things in my childhood. I was scared of commitment. I was scared of what the outcome was going to be. Jesus. So, I didn't take a lot of things seriously. We had a lot of ups and downs. I knew in my heart that I loved him, but I just had a careless attitude, and I honestly thought that there was so much evil in the world that that's all there was. I didn't think there was any good. We ended up splitting up after about a year and a half, and on my 17th birthday, I got into a motorcycle accident with my half-brother. I actually broke my I broke my femur bone and fractured my wrist, and my brother broke his tibia, his fibula, and broke some ribs and punctured a lung. And I'm just thankful that God had his hands on me, and God knew that I had a reason to be here. And I'm just thankful for that. I'm thankful for, I'm just going to say this. I remember looking at the helmet for the first time that my brother told me there was only one helmet. He wanted me to wear the helmet. He said, I'd rather you have the helmet on than me, just in case we were to get into an accident. 5 minutes down the road, we ended up getting to an accident. And I remember later on, after I think I was still in the hospital, I seen the helmet because they were bringing me my belongings to leave. And I remember seeing the helmet that was smashed and just scrapes and broke and cracked and all kinds of different pieces, and I just remember thanking God for having his hand on my life, because I knew without that helmet that I wouldn't be here today. And I'm thankful for just his mercy and having his hands on my life. I was in the hospital bed for what feels like years, but it was actually months. I couldn't walk, I couldn't get up. I was having therapists come and help me to get up and learn how to walk again, because not walking for so long, I kind of forgot how to do it. And putting pressure on my leg was I was in a lot of pain. So I remember them coming and them, pushing me to walk and pushing me to just go. And I was doing that for a long time, but I was still in the bed. I couldn't really get up much. I just got up when taking a shower and going to the restroom and things like that. And I remember getting so addicted to the pain pills and so addicted to muscle relaxers and so addicted to anything that I can get my hands on just to take away the pain. I just wanted the pain to go away. And taking that medicine at the time, it made me feel like, I didn't have a care in the world. I didn't think about anything. It didn't hurt. Which in reality, it did still hurt. But I remember being so messed up on drugs and just out of my mind. I didn't care to walk. I didn't want to get up. I was just lonely. I was depressed. I was just in a really, really dark spot in my life, and I just didn't care anymore. So at that time, I actually started seeing someone else. I got a new friend, and he was the same type of person that I was. We were on drugs. It was a very, very, very toxic relationship, fights, and with him, he actually had someone in his family that gave him the medicine, the pills. She got them prescribed. So it was like candy being fed to us at all times. And it was like I could never get away. I could never run away. And I knew in my mind that that's not what I wanted for my life. I wanted more. And I already experienced what love was. And I knew that I loved my husband. And I knew that's who I wanted to be with. And I was just trying to cope with whatever I could and fill all of the voids in my heart. But my habits became way worse. I started to try new things. I started to be addicted to new things. Then I knew, like I said, I wasn't happy and I wanted to just run away. I just wanted to get away, and I felt like if I left, that he would go crazy and freak out, or he would kill me, or I just didn't know what the outcome was going to be, so I was really scared to leave. So my mother-in-law actually Rachel, she would come in all the time and ask me how I was doing, and I would always say good, we're great, blah blah blah. And really in my mind I was like, just get me out of here, like I just want to run away. And she actually brought my husband back in to where I worked at, and he just made me feel really loved. He made me feel like he cared about me. He made me feel like he comforted me, and made me really feel like he cared. And I had never had that before, so I was thankful for that. And I just wanted to run away. So I took every step that I could, and I know it was God sending me an angel, sending him to me to just get me out of that situation. And I'm thankful for that. And I got his number and we talked, and actually after that we started dating again, and everything was different. My eyes were open to new things. My eyes were open. I knew what love was at this time. I knew that I loved him. And actually that day that I told him that I left my other boyfriend, I told him to come get me because he lived right down the road, and he was there in a split second. And he came to get me, and I was scared. I was scared to be there. I was scared to be alone. I didn't know if he would come back and try to kill me in the middle of the night or something. So I never went back to my parents' house. Still to this day, I've never been back. I then, as soon as I got with him, I never touched. I was detoxing. I was trying to wean myself off, and it just felt impossible. As soon as I got with Josh, my husband, he made it so easy. He made it easy to not touch it again. He made it easy to not go back. So I'm thankful for that as well. But it's shortly after that, I actually got pregnant with my son, Brantley. And in my mind, I was scared because I knew that I was detoxing off of drugs. And I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And I'm thankful to say that he was healthy. He had a fever. We couldn't see him for 24 hours. But after that, he never had any other health issues. And I'm thankful for that. God had his hand on him the whole time. And then we both started going to church with his parents. We got saved. We got married. We got baptized. And shortly after that, he was praying for a little girl, and we got our little girl. I had my pregnancy was good, but I had a rough delivery. She was almost emergency C-section. I just remember the doctor calling in anesthesia, and them saying anesthesia's 20 minutes out. And I remember just in my mind, I was terrified. I was terrified to have another surgery. I already knew what surgery was like. I didn't want to be in my bed for months and months and months. So I was terrified to have a C-section. So I remember hearing everyone in the room was just praying and praying and praying and asking God. And 5 minutes later, she came. She had the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck, and she was upside down. But she was completely healthy, and that's what I'm thankful for. And she was probably, I want to say about 6 months old. I was taking her to her regular checkups, and they kept saying that her head was not normal size. It wasn't rounded like it was supposed to be. Well, we had to go to a specialist. It was like a head specialist. Like it was I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a custom-fitted helmet is what they called it. And they cut it out to make it form to her head. Well, they said that she was missing part here and part here. It wasn't forming like it should have been. So they said that she was going to need to wear this helmet to shape her head normally. And I remember walking out of that doctor's appointment, and I felt like I blamed myself. I felt so much like I just felt bad. I'm just like, it's my fault. Why is it my fault? God, why are you doing this? And I just prayed I had 3 days until I went to her next appointment to get her helmet custom fitted to her head. And I remember just praying and praying and praying and crying out to God, God, just heal her, just touch her. And on the third day, when I was going to the doctor's appointment, I was just praying the whole way, God, show me a miracle, show me a miracle. And when I got there, they had to measure her head again, because they said that it would grow a little bit more, and they would have to measure it to fit the helmet that they were cutting out for her. Well, they measured her head, and they said that they printed off 2 pieces of paper. They printed off a paper from my last visit and a paper from this visit, which was 3 days ago. And they said she grew all of the inches that she needed. She no longer needs the helmet. And I remember just saying, with God, all things are possible. And they looked at me like I was crazy, but I just knew in my mind that God created that miracle just for me to see in front of my eyes. And they said, and I just kept praying, like, God, you heard my cry, you knew what I needed. And from there, we were going to church. My husband received the Holy Ghost. I was kind of scared. I didn't know, because I came from a Baptist is where I went, and we went to Pentecostal. And I was scared to really grab onto God. I was scared of what was going to happen. I was scared of what if something happened. Well, in that time, we actually fell out of church for about 2 years, and I remember those 2 years were the worst of my life. I felt guilty. I felt like I failed God. Every day, God would just knock on the door, knock, knock, and I just didn't obey him. I just pushed him to the side, like, oh, I'll be okay, I'll live. And it was a rough time in our relationship. I didn't know that we were going to make it. I thought that, maybe it will end in a divorce. His dad actually told him on Easter of this year that he came home and told me that he promised his dad that he was coming to church on Easter. And that was probably about 3 weeks before, I'm not really sure. And I knew in my heart, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew that when we fell out of church, it was my fault, because my husband was really pressing in. He really wanted the fullness of God. He received the Holy Ghost. He was just very, very strong. And I was just really confused. I dropped out in 9th grade. I didn't know how to read. I don't know the word to use. I was just really, just kind of pushed it away. I'll be fine without God. And today I know that I need God, and God is the only way. So I'm just thankful for all that he's done in my life. I can truly say that the things in my past I have forgiven, and I've moved on, and I have peace. And I'm just thankful that God gave me that peace, and I'm thankful that God brought me to where I am today. I know without all of those things that I went through, without all the trials, without all the tribulation, without all of the mountains and the valleys, I wouldn't be the person or the woman that I am today, and that I could be for my own children. And I'm just thankful, and I give God praise for that. And I know that without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to stand on my rock until my race is won. And I know that without God, nothing's possible. Nothing is good. I'm just thankful for all the opportunities, and I'm thankful to be here today with my family and my sisters and brothers in Christ, and I'm thankful for this church. And I just can truly say in my heart that I forgive and I forgot, and I've moved on, and I have so much joy, and I'm so thankful for all of the things that God's doing in my life and the miracles that he's created in my relationship, in my family, in my kids, just everything. I'm just so thankful. So I think that's all I have. But I could go on for hours and hours and hours. But yes, I'm just thankful. I'm so thankful. That's all I can say is I'm just thankful.
Can you say praise the Lord?